Ring the bell.
Hey folks, it's me, Jooseyboy, rolling Han Solo, and I'm here with your review for Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor 2024 from the Liacouras Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on 5th of April, 2024. This is part of our ongoing WrestleMania week coverage. On the booth, on commentary, Ian Riccaboni, Caprice Coleman, and Nigel McGuinness, who made a surprise entrance at the beginning of the show to join the team on commentary, which I thought was nice. Okay, up first in the card, we had Kyle Fletcher taking on Lee Johnson in a match for the ROH World Television Championship. So the first thing I noticed is that Kyle Fletcher, with this new coat of paint, now looks like somebody I'm more interested in seeing. There was a new aggression, a new level of confidence shown from him that I really enjoyed. I felt like, you know, these are two talents who probably deserve better than to be tucked away in Ring of Honor where there's not a very large audience. I thought I was actually really quite enjoying this match, and then it just kept on going on and on and on. At one point, there was a Canadian destroyer off the top rope, followed by two top rope frog splashes, and Kyle Fletcher still kicked out. This match went for 19 minutes and 51 seconds, and this is the opening match of the show, and they already had big bumps off the top rope, kicking out of huge moves, bumps on the ramp. That was all here. I just, it's the opening match of the card, and I already feel like, okay, where do we go from here? So the individual performances from both guys, you know, they did great. They can pull off all the stuff. That's all well and good, but you know, this match was just like a machine gun of action, and the stuff that they can do is very athletic and very impressive, but there's no time to actually digest it. And like I said, there's a full card of wrestling still to come after this, and they're pulling out stops as though they're in the main event. So I'd probably have to say that based on that, I can only really give it a C- because they just overkill everything. You don't need to kick out of 500 million different things. And yeah, it was just such overkill. Just really like AEW light is the way that I would put it. All right, moving on. We went then through a 6-women tag match featuring 6 of the top performers from Stardom Pro Wrestling, which was very exciting. Let me try to read directly here so I don't butcher the names. I'll actually just pull it up here. Okay, we have the team of Empress Nexus Venus, which was Maika, Mina Shirakawa, and May Sierra versus Queen's Quest, which was the team of AZM, Sayora Kamatani, and Tam Nakano. Okay, this 6-woman Stardom tag match was immediately better than the opening World Television title match. And I'll tell you why. Because these women immediately established who the heels and who the baby faces were going to be. They did the Code of Honor, but then one side started acting heelish, and it was clear what they were doing. And then they actually told a story. It made sense that they were quickly tagging in and out because of the nature of the match. They were selling things. They were actually registering hits when they got hit with a forearm or hit with a big kick. And that was everything that was missing from the previous match. They didn't act like they could survive getting a building dropped on top of them and still just get up and walk away. I really quite enjoyed this match. It makes me want to check out a bit more Stardom. But all the same, I think that, like, honestly, I kind of think that this should have maybe even opened the show. Like, this was really fun, and I feel like all the ladies here just looked great. They did a great job, and yeah, like, honestly, I just had a smile on my face watching it because it was a well done, well executed wrestling match with some performers that had some charisma. and they're confident in who they are as performers. All right. And I'm going to probably give that match a B minus. The Jooseyboy favorite when I really like a match, but I don't quite think that it's great. The B minus for that 6-woman tag match. Very, very good. Okay. Next up, we had the ROH World Tag Team Championships on the line. It was the Undisputed Kingdom. That's Matt Taven and Mike Bennett taking on the Infantry, which is Carly Bravo and Sean Dean. Of course, those two gentlemen from the Infantry, former members of the U.S. Armed Forces. They have served overseas defending their country. Very nice. All right. All 4 competitors in this match, very capable. They can do a lot of stuff. But, okay, so this match also suffered from a similar thing from the opening match, which was just overkill, just doing so much, endless, giant moves. They did about 5 or 6 different finishes in this match before actually getting to the end. But the most egregious problem here is that you've got a Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship match. You've got a promotion that ostensibly prides itself on being very sports-based and being very competition-focused. And then you've got this tag team title match. And at one point, I got confused and thought it was a tornado tag because they worked a good portion of this match, a great deal of it. They were just completely ignoring the rules. All 4 men / both members of a team were in the ring, you know, for quite long periods of time, and the ref just wasn't even bothering to count, wasn't even bothering to make it look like he broke it up. And so then, you know, this large portion of the match goes on where all this crazy stuff's happening. They're doing dives, they're doing all these crazy double teams and stuff like that. And then they kick out of that, they have their big moment, the crowd cheers, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden they slow it back down and start doing tags again and start caring about the rules again, which they did that for a while until it became time to ignore the rules so that they could pull off whatever they were trying to do. And when I think back to some of the classic Ring of Honor tag team title matches that I've seen, obviously more recently, there's the Briscoes versus FTR. And, back in the days where I was watching Ring of Honor as a fan, as a young fan growing up, it was the Kings of Wrestling versus the Briscoes, and it was the Kings of Wrestling versus the All Night Express, Kenny King and Red Titus, and other teams like that, who just would go out there and put on absolute clinics for those Ring of Honor tag team title matches, following the rules, obeying the rules, making it look like it was a sport. And I felt like this ROH World Tag Team title match basically made a mockery of what Ring of Honor is supposed to stand for in terms of the way the match was worked. I'm sure all 4 of these guys they're obviously great guys. They're obviously fantastic athletes, but the story that they were telling here didn't fit the page of the book that it was written on. This is not the right page in the story to be telling this kind of story. It just didn't work in the context of the rest of the show. Having said that, the athleticism was so undeniable that I still have to give it a C+, because I can't just sit here and deny and pretend that they didn't do quite a bunch of impressive stuff. But for me personally as a fan, there wasn't enough attention to detail and respect for the framework of the rules that allows you as a fan to get invested in the match and suspend your disbelief. All right, let's move on. Women's World Television Title Tournament Final. Brother, Billy Starks taking on Queen Aminata for this championship. This was the first time. I just want to double check if that's an L. Yes, it is a T. Aminata. I got it right. Okay. This was my first time seeing Queen Aminata, perform, and blown away. Just so impressed. I mean, the size, the look, the athleticism. She has unique, different ways of performing moves that, I haven't seen before. I thought she and Billy Starks actually worked a tremendous match. They did a finish where Billy Starks feigned a neck injury. It turned, and then obviously while Aminata had her guard down, feeling bad about possibly seriously injuring Billy Starks. Starks took advantage, locked in a sleeper. The ref stops it by knockout. Ref stoppage was the finish. Billy Starks is your new world television title champion. Both of these ladies really impressed me a ton. For me personally, the injury angle at the end where she feigned the injury, I like the idea of feigning the injury itself, and this is nitpicking. This is just one fan's opinion. I personally thought that they shouldn't have made the injury a neck injury. So what happened to lead into that sequence was Billy Starks goes up top for a swan dive, like a swanton bomb, and Queen Aminata puts her knees up and, real high landing on those knees. So Billy Starks, immediately starts crying, calling for the ref. And I got to tell you, folks, like for me, just for me personally, once again, this made me uncomfortable because injuries like this very much do happen in wrestling. Like we know people have actually died in the ring in front of people due to a neck injury or a spine injury. So now here's this 5'1" woman who can't weigh any more than 75 kilos, and she's just done this move. And, they spent a good time lingering on this. They spent about 5 or 6 minutes as everyone kind of came in, everyone's all concerned and stuff, and you can hear her crying, my neck, she's screaming. So in that sense, it was effective because it pulled me in. I thought she may have actually been injured. But just for my personal taste, you could have done a knee injury. You could have even feigned a neck injury, but it didn't have to be done to that degree because, folks, when someone gets injured for real inside a match, that's exactly how it looks because what else are you going to do? And I just personally think that makes me a little uncomfortable. I don't want to see anyone break their neck or have their career cut short. So it just didn't really sit well with me. But overall, the match was really tremendous. Probably my favorite match up to this point on the card. And I'm actually going to give it a B+. I really want to see more of Queen Aminata. And despite me not really driving with the nature of the finish, I'm really glad that Billy Starks won this title here. I thought she looked tremendous. I find myself being interested in seeing what both these ladies do going forward. Okay. We then next had, well, it's hard to say what my least favorite match of this show was because there's a few that I didn't like. But coming up next, we had the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team title match. It was Bullet Club Gold, the team of Austin and Colton Gunn, the Ass Boys, and Jay White, Switchblade, of course, defeating Monster Sauce, the team of Alex Zane, who I'd never seen perform before, and Lance Archer, and Minoru Suzuki. I'd never seen Alex Zane before this. I was very impressed with him. Once again, like I said in my review of his match in Bloodsport yesterday, Minoru Suzuki just coming in, not really selling. I'm over it. I'm completely over it. This match, again, they paid no attention to the rules. This was already now the third tag team match that I had seen. It went on for 15 minutes. I felt that it went on for too long. Once again, we still had several big matches left on the show, and they just did everything. Bullet Club Gold end up getting the win here, which, at least was a positive. I'm giving this match a D+. This match just really was draining the life out of me. It was sucking the life out of me. This whole promotion just feels like, people always make the joke that AEW is like Tony Khan's little play world. But see, I'm going to actually give him some credit. I'm going to say he takes AEW a little bit more seriously than that. Ring of Honor is his little play world. It's AEW light. He's got all these people under contract. He can't use them all on the big show. God knows even the people that are being rotated through the AEW shows don't get enough time. So he uses ROH as his dumping bucket for all these extra talents that, he definitely wants to have him. He doesn't want him going to WWE. He'd rather be having them on the pad in case he decides he wants to use him or gets interested in him suddenly. But he doesn't have anything for him to do on the big show. As soon as I said big show, my phone fell over. It's like, because of the size. ROH is just AEW light. This is just AEW light. That's all I was feeling going out of this 6-man title match. I feel like the Gun Boys look tremendous. I feel like Jay White probably deserves better. The team of Monster Sauce, they mentioned that they've never teamed in AEW before, and that this is the first time that they've teamed in Ring of Honor. But the commentators said several times, like, what a imposing and reputable team Monster Sauce already is over in New Japan. So if Lance Archer is killing it with Alex Zane over in New Japan, why the F can't he come to AEW and do that? You've got him under contract. Monster Sauce was a tremendous team here. Why aren't we seeing them in the mix for the AEW tag team titles? It's just boggles my... And then you have them lose. You have Monster Sauce appear for the first time as a team on North American TV, and you have them lose. It's just... Again, he's trying to just squeeze all these people onto the card because he's got him there. Okay. A D- for that match. All right. Coming up next, we followed that with the Fight Without Honor match, which was probably my favorite match on this show, the most fun out of anything on this show. It was Dalton Castle, sans the boys, who have been, of course, notoriously released, and Tony Khan went and said that it was because they no-showed a couple of their travel dates. And then just this morning, it was posted online with receipts and the text messages and everything that, in fact, they hadn't no-showed their travel. They were told one thing and left waiting around for hours with their dicks in their hands like idiots, only to then be told that their booking had been cancelled or plans had been changed or whatever. But Tony Khan wants to go and say that it was because they no-showed TV. So that's fine. Dalton Castle comes out here. Instead of the regular boys that could actually wrestle, he just had a gaggle of random ROH trainees, I assume, in the little boy getup. But he takes on Johnny TV, who also competed at Bloodsport last night, with the lovely Taya Valkyrie. And the two of them are, of course, doing their... It's almost like a gimmick where they're like a reality TV couple. They're completely obsessed with themselves and each other, but it's so superficial and showy and for the camera. Anyway, what I liked about this Fight Without Honor match was that Dalton Castle and Johnny TV, everything didn't look perfect. It looked as though they were actually having a fight. Not everything got pulled off with precision and smoothness. It looked rough. It looked gritty. There was a lot of fun things in this match. Johnny TV used his parkour a lot of the time to take advantage of the fact that there was no countouts. They could go anywhere they wanted. There were some things in this that looked sloppy in a good way. I feel as though this really looked like two guys that were having a fight, and it almost had this weird flavor to it where you've got these guys that have these more ostentatious, flashy gimmicks, and they've got the more flashy, flamboyant personality and the more flamboyant style in the ring. It's a lot more, it's both of them in different ways have a showy style in the ring in terms of it's very, it's theatrical. It's something that makes you go, oh, that's different. And so it almost felt like these two characters were being pulled between their desire to be the center of attention and peacock around, and the necessity of what was going on with the Fight Without Honor match with no rules, anything goes. And I feel as though that balance of flamboyant gimmick versus gritty street fight really worked for me. This was probably my favorite match on the show. It's going to get the Jooseyboy recommendation. Go out of your way to check it out because I can't do it justice on my own, and I'm not going to try. B+ for that match. Okay. Coming up next, we have the Ring of Honor Women's World Title match between Athena taking on Hikaru Shida. Athena ended up retaining the title after 22 minutes and 31 seconds. I have to say this, both of these women looked fantastic. They worked hard in the match. Everything they did was hard hitting. You could tell that they meant it. They went out there and they tried to come up with some different things, but it's not their fault. Unfortunately, by this point in the show, I was just burned out. Every single one of these matches just goes for so long, and they do so much. And I think back to when I was 10 or 11 years old. I first started watching wrestling with my brother Nick. And he and I at that age, we would have loved to have seen some of the gymnastics and some of the incredible stuff that these young wrestlers today do. Um, but with age comes wisdom. There's a reason why you don't see the guys in WWE doing that nonstop, because they have to be able to go out there and work again the next night. And maybe they have the luxury in Ring of Honor of being able to take those risks and do everything, just balls to the wall every single time. But I don't necessarily think that it's necessary. And I think that when they go and do that every single match from beginning of card to end, now we get here to the main event women's match. And I feel like some of the luster was taken off of this match because of the overkill that the previous matches engaged in. And especially, I mean, Queen Amanita and Billy Starks, as far as women's wrestling, they stole the show for me. I thought that was a really good match. And I'm not saying that to crap on Athena and Hikaru Shida here. Like I said, it's a great match. And some people are going to get annoyed at me. They're going to call me old-fashioned or whatever. Hikaru Shida is just a little bit too small to be kicking out of as many things as she did. I don't mind the fact that she was very valiant and that she worked really hard, and she wanted to be really wanted that Ring of Honor World Women's Championship. Like, don't get me wrong, I feel that, but it was just maybe 5 or 10% too much that she kicked out of. And I was just thinking, like, honestly, if this was real, she'd have broken ribs, her body would just be shattered. But it's not that they did bad. It's just that by this point in a show like this that goes on for this length, you're suffering from burnout. You're suffering from burnout syndrome. And unfortunately, a little bit of that carried over into the main event for today. It was the Ring of Honor World Championship match. It was Eddie Kingston defending his championship against one of them boys, Mark Briscoe, in 24 minutes, 13 seconds. And we had a title change. We had a new ROH world champion in Mark Briscoe here. It was that element of this match I really enjoyed. It was a feel-good moment. All the Briscoes were there. Mama Briscoe, Papa Briscoe, the nephews, the nieces, the kids, the wives. So the whole Briscoe clan was there, front row, to be there to enjoy Mark Briscoe winning this title, having that moment in his career, and of course, dedicating it to the late, great Jay Briscoe, his tag team partner, who of course tragically passed away. I believe it was last September, maybe even earlier than that. Time just flies, but he tragically passed away. And so Mark dedicated this to his older brother, Jay. Anyone out there that's got siblings, that's got to mean something to you. So it was a huge celebration for the family at the end. I really liked that. I really liked the way that Eddie Kingston, as the defending champion, carried himself in terms of the respect that he showed for Mark Briscoe before and after this match. The promo that he cut saying that he was going to bring his absolute best to this title defense in honor of Mark's brother Jay and in honor of the championship itself and what that championship means. So I really feel like, at least for the world title match, we had some story. Unfortunately, what happened in between the beginning of the match and the conclusion of the match, I can only really give it a C minus. And again, there are going to be plenty of people out there who probably have the opposite viewpoint from me on this, and that's fine. There was too much of the slap fighting for my taste. It's meant to be a Ring of Honor world title match where they're obeying the honor code, yet they're bringing in chairs, they're using weapons. Mark Briscoe's busted, he's bleeding a gusher. It's the proverbial crimson mask. And I liked that touch of it in a sense, because Mark Briscoe, he's always been the rowdier of the two Briscoe brothers. He likes to go a little bit crazy. He's got a little bit of that hardcore, anything goes element to his manner of performance. However, once again, it kind of contrasts kind of goes against, in my opinion, the degree that they did the hardcore stuff to, I should say, kind of goes against the storytelling aspect of this being a highly prestigious, highly important championship match for the Ring of Honor title, of course, which the whole concept of Ring of Honor is meant to be based on honor, respect, the ring being sacred, and pro wrestling being treated as competition. It's a performance. It's not a real fight, but it's competition. And I just feel like I would have liked to see a little bit more of that out of this particular world title match. You know, plenty of people are going to disagree. I thought the match was fine, you know, but I'm a fan of both guys, so maybe my expectations were a bit higher than they should have been. I don't know. I would like to know what you guys think in the comments of that match in particular. And do you agree with me about the opening match as well? Am I right? Was it overkill, or am I just too old-fashioned and out of touch? I don't know. This show dragged on for me. It dragged on too much. I'm glad that I didn't really have to give any matches a dud rating or an F rating. I'd probably rate the show overall probably a 6.5. Probably, you know, I'm going to be generous and give it a 7 because I, as I said just a moment ago, I really did appreciate the effort and the sentimentality that was put into the Mark Briscoe's career moment, winning the Ring of Honor World title. And of course, it's bittersweet because you just know that had this happened at this time, say, had this happened 2 years ago, you know, his brother Jay would have been there, you know, to celebrate it with him. And so it's kind of bittersweet that he's not there. But, you know, all the same, I really enjoyed that. So I can't go as low as a 6.5 just based on that because I have a heart. It's going to get a 7 because everybody worked really hard. But the promotion of ROH as a whole is getting about a 3.5 from me. Nothing against the people there that are working their asses off in that ring on those shows, doing their best to earn a living as wrestlers. I respect it, you know. I certainly couldn't do 5% of the stuff that these men and women go out there and do. But Tony Khan as a promoter, Ring of Honor as a promotion, it's just sitting there. It's sitting there collecting dust. They have a television title for their men's division. They have a television title for their women's division because they want it to be equal, on equal footing. Ring of Honor is not on television. It's not on cable television. It's not on network television. It's not on satellite television, which I'm pretty sure is just a different conveyance, but it's similar to cable television. You get the same shit on there. It's not on a major streaming platform that millions of people subscribe to. Like you can call a Netflix show, you can call that a TV show because so millions of people worldwide are subscribed to Netflix. There's, it's a fraction of that of a regular television base actually views Honor Club or Fight TV and Bleacher Report and these other places where you can pick up Ring of Honor programming. It's, you know, I've said it a few times. I'm going to say it again. I actually enjoyed this show, like I said, because of the effort put forth by everyone involved. But just the promotion is just a train wreck. It's an eyesore. It's this big, cumbersome old piano that's been in your family for generations. Or in this, in fact, Tony Khan just bought ROH not long ago. He just purchased it. So let's change that analogy. The big clunky piano hasn't been sitting there for generations, but you just had a family member, some distant uncle that you didn't know has passed away, and you've inherited this big fucking piano that's 150 years old, and you don't have the heart to throw it away because you know it's such an antique, and you know, think of the history surrounding that fucking piano. But God, it just takes up so much space. Man, I'm losing an arm and a leg on furniture polish trying to keep this thing looking clean. No one plays it. It's just it's just a waste of space. It's not economical. Yeah, Ring of Honor is that old piano in Tony Khan's collection of things You know, he collects businesses and intellectual property as though they're things. And ROH is just that thing that he somehow wound up with. And he was happy to pay the property tax on it, the inheritance tax on it, just to get a look at it and get his fingers on it for a while. And he's bored with it now. And now it's just sitting over in the corner. And the way it exists today in 2024 is it's a hollow, burnt out, dead husk of what it once used to stand for, of what it once used to represent, of when the greats used to step through those ropes in Ring of Honor and made it what it was, got it to the point where some billionaire trust fund kid liked it enough to spend all this money buying it, cutting out all the original owners and all the original people that made it what it was. Excuse me. I need a radio style cough button. And buying it, crowing about the fact that you've bought it, going on TV and saying, look at me, I brought ROH. I'm really opening up doors now. I'm the savior of wrestling. And look at it. This isn't the ROH that Nigel McGuinness had those matches in, or Misawa showed up in. It's not the ROH that CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and Chris Hero and Claudio Castagnoli and guys like that cut their teeth in. It's not the promotion that Eddie Guerrero went to in between stints with the WWE to get his feet back under him and to get his engine going back under him. It's not the place where performers like Matt Hardy went, or where performers like Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin went after WWE, because it contained some of the best young up-and-coming wrestling talent in the world at that time, and you can't say that about ROH today. You can say that Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor 2024 was a good show and a great effort was put in by all those men and women, 7 out of 10 once again, but you can't say that ROH as a promotion is anywhere close to hot. In fact, I dare say that it might even be close to flatlining, because I definitely didn't find myself wanting to watch more ROH after this. I find myself wanting to see more of the individual performers, but I don't need to sit down and slog my way through hours of ROH programming to do that. And I don't feel like coming out of this program like I have any further inclination to do so. In fact, I feel like I want to watch less Ring of Honor. It's WrestleMania weekend, and this show somehow has made me feel like I want to watch less wrestling. But it doesn't really matter what I think. I'm just one guy sitting here behind a computer rating a show, and my opinion is just like an asshole. I am one, and everyone's got one. You know, and I really would like to know, do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? Are you kind of mixed? You know, do you have a completely different opinion? We would like to know. The Slam Society is still a small but growing channel. And it may seem small to a lot of people out there, but we're actually really excited because we are ramping up towards having 2,000 subscribers. That is almost as many subscribers as Go to Dynamite every week. That is huge. That is huge. And so we would love it if you enjoy the content that we do here, if you enjoy our way of dissecting professional wrestling. The Slam Society is your hub for all things that the wrestling connoisseur, the wrestling fan, the wrestling enthusiast could ever want. We have reviews, we have playthroughs, we have retro gaming, we have watch-alongs, we do watch parties, we do all kinds of different stuff. We have group recordings where we play games and get online and chat to everybody. There is such a wide range of content here on the Slam Society. And so if you enjoy it, if you'd like to see more of what we have to offer, please hit that bell, hit like and subscribe. But until next time, I have been Jooseyboy. This has been your Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor 2024 review. And I will see you down the road.